Once upon a time, there was a little engine called Edward. He lived in a shed with 5 other engines. They were all bigger than Edward and boasted about it. The driver won't choose you again, they said. He wants big, strong engines like us. Edward had not been out for a long time. He began to feel sad. Just then, the driver and fireman came along to start work. The driver looked at Edward. "Why are you sad?" he asked. "Would you like to come out today?" "Yes, please," said Edward. So the fireman lit the fire and made a nice lot of steam. Then the driver pulled the lever and Edward puffed away. He whistled. "Look at me now." The others were very cross at being left behind. Away went Edward to get some coaches. "Be careful, Edward," said the coaches. "Don't bump and bang us like the other engines do." So Edward came up to the coaches, very, very gently. The shunter fastened the coupling. "Thank you, Edward," said the coaches. "That was kind. We're glad you're taking us today." Then they went to the station where the people were waiting. Whistled Edward. "Get in quickly, please." So the people got in quickly, and Edward waited happily for the guard to blow his whistle and wave his green flag. He waited and waited. There was no whistle, no green flag. "Where is that guard?" Edward was getting anxious. The driver and fireman asked the station master, "Have you seen the guard?" "No," he said. They asked the porter, "Have you seen the guard?" "Yes, last night," said the porter. Edward began to get cross. "Are we ever going to start?" he said. Just then a little boy shouted, "Here he comes!" And there the guard was, running down the hill, with his flags in one hand and a sandwich in the other. He ran onto the platform, blew his whistle, and jumped into his van. Edward puffed off. He did have a happy day. All the children ran to wave as he went past. Met old friends at all the stations. so hard, the driver promised to take him out again next day. Going out again tomorrow, he told the other engines that night in the shed. What do you think of that? But he didn't hear what they thought. He was so tired and happy that he fell asleep at once. One of the engines in Edward's shed was called Gordon. He was very big and very proud. "You watch me this afternoon, little Edward," he boasted, "as I rush through with the express. That will be a splendid sight for you." Just then, his driver pulled the lever. "Bye, little Edward," said Gordon as he puffed away. "Look out for me this afternoon." Edward went off too, to do some shunting. Edward liked shunting. It was fun playing with trucks. He would come up quietly and give them a pull. "Oh, oh, 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 oh," screamed the trucks. "Whatever is happening?" Then he would stop, and the silly trucks would go bump into each other. "Oh, oh, oh," they cried again. He would push them until they were running nicely. And when they weren't expecting it, he would stop. One of them would be sure to run onto another line. Edward played till there were no more trucks. Then he stopped to rest. Presently, he heard a whistle. Gordon came puffing along, very slowly and very crossly. Instead of nice shining coaches, he was pulling a lot of very dirty coal trucks. Goods train, he grumbled. "Shame of it, shame of it, shame of it." He went slowly through, with the trucks clattering and banging behind him. Edward laughed. He went to find some more trucks. Soon afterwards, a porter came and spoke to his driver. "Gordon can't get up the hill. Will you take Edward and push him, please?" found Gordon halfway up the hill and very cross. His driver and fireman were talking to him severely. "You're not trying," they told him. "Can't do it," said Gordon. "The noisy trucks hold an engine back so." If they were coaches now, clean, sensible things that come quietly, that would be different. Edward's driver came up. "We've come to push," he said. "No use at all," said Gordon. "You wait and see," said Edward's driver. The train back to the bottom of the hill. Edward came up behind the brake van ready to push. "I'm ready," said Edward. "No good," grumbled Gordon. The guard blew his whistle. Pulled and pushed as hard as they could. "I can't do it," puffed Gordon. "I will do it," puffed Edward. "I can't do it. I will do it," they puffed together. Edward pushed and puffed and pushed as hard as ever he could. And almost before he realized it, Gordon found himself at the top of the hill. "I've done it, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it," he said proudly. He forgot all about Edward pushing behind. Didn't wait to say thank you. It ran on so fast, it passed 2 stations before it stopped. Edward had pushed so hard, when he got to the top, he was out of breath. Gordon ran on so fast that Edward was left behind. The guard waved and waved, but Edward couldn't catch up. He ran on to the next station. There the driver and fireman said they were very pleased with him. The fireman gave him a nice long drink of water. The driver said, "I'll get out my paint tomorrow and give you a beautiful new coat, blue with yellow stripes. Then you'll be the smartest engine in the shed."
The Sad Story of Henry. Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. It went into a tunnel and squeaked through its funnel and never came out again. The engine's name was Henry. His driver and fireman argued with him, but he wouldn't move. He said,
No, I shan't come out so there. The rain will spoil my lovely green paint with red stripes. No.
The guard blew his whistle till he had no more breath and waved his flags till his arms ached. But Henry stayed in the tunnel and blew steam at him.
Go away. Go away. I'm not going to spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes for you.
The passengers came and argued too, but Henry would not move.
No! No! Leave me alone.
A fat director who was on the train told the guard to get a rope.
Fetch a rope, will you? Now, Henry, we will pull you out.
But Henry only blew steam at him and made him wet.
Leave me alone.
They hooked the rope on and all pulled except the fat director.
My doctor has forbidden me to pull, don't you know?
They pulled and pulled and pulled, but still Henry stayed in the tunnel. Then they tried pushing from the other end. The fat director said,
1, 2, 3, push!
but he didn't help himself. He said,
My doctor has forbidden me to push.
they pushed and pushed and pushed, but still Henry stayed in the tunnel. At last, another train came. The guard waved his red flag and stopped it. The 2 engine drivers, the 2 firemen, and the 2 guards went and argued with Henry. Look, Henry, it's stopped raining.
Yes, but it'll begin again soon, and what will become of my green paint with red stripes then? Hmm?
So they brought the other engine up, and it pushed and puffed and puffed and pushed as hard as ever it could. But still Henry stayed in the tunnel. So they gave it up, and the fat director told Henry,
We shall leave you there for always and always and always.
They took up the old rails and they built a big brick wall in front of Henry. Now Henry can't get out, and he watches the trains rushing through the new town. He's very sad because no one will ever see his lovely green paint with red stripes again. But I think he deserved it, don't you? Edward, Gordon, and Henry. Edward and Gordon often went through the tunnel where Henry was shut up. Edward would say, "Hello," and Gordon would say,
Serves you right.
Poor Henry had no steam to answer. His fire had gone out. Soot and dirt from the tunnel roof had spoiled his lovely green paint and red stripes. He was cold and unhappy and wanted to come out and pull trains too. Gordon always pulled the express. He was proud of being the only engine strong enough to do it. There were many heavy coaches full of important people like the fat director who punished Henry. Gordon was seeing how fast he could go. Faster, 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 faster. Gordon could see Henry's tunnel in front, and he thought to himself,
In a minute, I'll just go at Henry and rush through and out into the open again.
closer and closer he came. He was almost there when...
Oh dear! Oh, what's happened?
Gordon was in a cloud of steam and going slower and slower.
Oh, sure, Charles.
His driver stopped the train.
Oh, what has happened to me? Oh, I feel so weak.
And the driver said, "You've burst your safety valve. You can't pull the train anymore."
Oh dear. And we were going so nicely too. Look at Henry laughing at me.
Everybody got out and came to see Gordon. The fat director said,
Yes, I never liked these big engines. Always going wrong. Send for another engine at once.
While the guard went to find one, they uncoupled Gordon and ran him onto a siding out of the way. The only engine left in the shed was Edward. Edward, Gordon isn't feeling very well. Will you come and pull his coaches for him? Well, I'll try. Gordon saw Edward coming.
Oh, he's no use. Edward can't pull a train.
Edward puffed and pulled and pulled and puffed, but he couldn't move the heavy coaches.
I told you so. Why not let Henry try,
And the fat director said,
All right, I will. Henry, will you help pull this train?
and Henry was delighted.
Oh, yes, certainly. Only too pleased.
So Gordon's driver and fireman lit his fire, some plate layers broke down the wall and put back the rails, and when he had steam up, Henry puffed out. He was dirty. His boiler was black and he was covered with cobwebs.
Oh, I'm so stiff. I'm so stiff.
You'd better have a run and ease your joints and find a turntable.
Henry came back feeling much better, and they put him in front. Edward said, "I'm ready."
So am I. Pull hard, pull hard.
"We'll do it, we'll do it,
Pull hard,
we'll do it,
pull hard.
we'll do it." The heavy coaches jerked and began to move, slowly at first, then faster and faster.
We've done it together.
We've done it together.
We've done it together.
We've done it together. Hooray, you've done it! Hooray, you've done it! Hooray, you've done it! All the passengers were so excited, the fat director leaned out of the window to wave to Edward and Henry. But the train was going so fast that his hat flew off into a field where a goat ate it for his tea. They never stopped till they came to the big station at the end of the line. The passengers all got out and said thank you, and the fat director promised Henry a new coat of paint.
Would you like blue and red?
Oh, yes, please. Then I'll be like Edward and Gordon. That will be nice.